or not extend several stars here? I got a list. I'm checking it twice. Let's start with the champion, shall we? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I would extend him. That's my expert analysis. The question is, will he want the entire amount, or could they get him to take a little haircut to see if they can keep their team together? They may try that same thing with their other guys, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. They tried that with James Harden a few years ago. It didn't go so well, so we'll see how that goes.
He always keeps his braids tight, but I think you could convince him maybe to take a little haircut to keep that team together. How about Luka Doncic?
So he can't extend until August 2nd. However, over the next month, really even less, over the next week or two, Lakers need to do some things with their roster. Would be nice to get Luka a center and a rim runner who he really excels along with. It'll be sort of a referendum on where Luka feels about the Lakers and their direction. If he extends, he has given no indication that he will not. However, there is a sense of mystery until he does.
How about Nikola Jokic?
So this is an interesting one. He has 3 years left on his contract. No pressure, you would think. However, things haven't been going so great for the Nuggets the last 2 years as they've lost players off their roster and the ownership has been careful on spending. Owner Josh Kroenke just said a couple of days ago that they are going to offer him the max this year, which is a couple of years extension, but he isn't sure he's going to sign it. Not because of anything to do with the team, but because he can get more money by waiting. However, if he doesn't sign it, it's something for the team to reevaluate.
Yeah, 3 for 212 is the Jokic number. And listen, he came out after the playoffs and said we need to get depth. Now we're going to see how Denver goes about doing it.
It was just about as far, Jay, as we've heard Nikola Jokic go and saying, well, we're not a championship team, and clearly we need a little bit more.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a frustrating season last year. They were bumping up on the play-in with 3 games left, won their last 3 after Michael Malone was let go. But can you imagine not having Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets? It's hard for me to imagine.
He's been an absolute no-drama, all-delivery superstar to this point.
And I love the to this point. Whenever it comes with a Brian Fleury, it's something to pay attention to. How about Devin Booker? The Suns in a little bit of a transition phase.
Well, Devin Booker was active in their head coaching search. He was active in some of their other decisions, including Kevin Durant trade, and I think he will be active in signing a 2-year record extension, Bobby. I think it's something like 150.
Two for 150, Bob. Remember when the salary cap used to be $75 million? Devin Booker's first salary in 1 year.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
2 for 150. All right, so that's what Devin Booker could be looking at as they've started really that rebuild process, but not a full rebuild, but rebuilding around Devin Booker. On the other side of this, Monica McNutt, she's going to join us. Falls on another NBA draft, but for these young men, it's not the ending. It's just the prologue as they take their first steps here into the NBA. Jay, when you look back on these past 2 days in a draft that, of course, started with Cooper Flagg, so much anticipation. We got to take a little trip virtually to Newport, Maine, and see everybody there. 3,100 people in this town cheering on Cooper Flagg. But there's 59 young men here whose lives have changed. A couple more will change here in the coming hours and days. What do you take away from this?
Well, I think when we look back on this draft, we're going to remember it as the Cooper Flagg draft. Oftentimes a draft is defined by the top pick and how the top pick does. And I think, like most people, he's going to do really, really well. But there's a depth of really good players in this draft. You know, Dylan Harper has a chance to be a star in the league. And what San Antonio did with 2 and 14, getting Dylan Harper and then Carter Bryant, 3-and-D guy from Arizona, I thought was really effective. But, you know, look, the draft night, that was as emotional a draft night as I've ever seen in the 23 years I've been doing this. Saw more tears than I think we've ever seen. But draft night, the first 2 nights of the draft is about hope. You know, it's about, okay, you're realizing a dream. But tomorrow, it's about delivering. And then guys really got to start delivering on that promise, because you got to, as Bob said, like, nobody cares where you're drafted tomorrow. You got to go into camp and you got to perform and you got to be a pro. And that's what it's really about.
It's a celebration, and then very quickly turning that page. The good news for so many of these guys is the basketball is what they're fluent in. That's what they're looking forward to, getting back on the hardwood, because many of them, they haven't played in months. Their college season has concluded. They want to get back to that competition.
Yeah, I mean, to comment on Jay, I feel like as a man, I got to get more in touch with my emotions watching a lot of these guys. I mean, crying is okay for guys. Apparently, I mean, we were in the epicenter of tears in the last 2 days.
We can talk about this after the show.
I think it's good. It's a healthy thing to do. So, look, Jay's right. Draft is over. It's this awesome 2-day celebration. I love that they made it 2 days, made it more interesting. I know teams like the ability to maneuver in the second round. but now that's done, right? And yeah, that's just a number, but that does not define your career in a good or bad way. And so it'll be fascinating to see what a lot of these guys end up doing in their career.
One of the hardest working men on this NBA draft has been our Jonathan Givony. He's the one that makes sure all of us are prepared, to make sure that all of these prospects, the fun facts, are brought to light. Jonathan, I'm curious, as you reflect on this draft, what stands out to you?
I'm already looking forward to the 2026 NBA draft. I can't wait. AJ DeBonza, Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, Nate Ament. This is a stacked class. So many guys went back to school because of NIL. My 2026 mock draft coming out tomorrow. It was hard to find spots for guys, so I can't wait for this upcoming college season. I'm going to the FIBA Under-19 World Cup next week in Switzerland. I'm going to Belgrade after that. So, like, we're already off to the races for the next one here.
We are in the city that never sleeps, and clearly Jonathan Givony does not either. This is the swag, the style that we've seen over the last 2 days as 59 young men, and apparently, according to me, one sports pundit got drafted into the NBA. Welcome to Stop By. We've already seen here plenty of movement, Brian. Of course, Kevin Durant traded from Phoenix to Houston. That happened on the same day as Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And then a little bit more surprisingly, we were wondering what the Boston Celtics were going to do in the wake of the Jason Tatum injury. Drew Holiday gone. Kristaps Porzingis traded to Atlanta, and then CJ McCollum traded from New Orleans to Washington on Tuesday. Let's start with the Boston Celtics and filter our way down here, Brian. What do you make of the moves that they are choosing here?
It was not surprising, unfortunately. When Jason Tatum got hurt, they were facing a payroll that Bobby was calculating for us over the recent months. It was topping $500 million. And to illustrate how penal the tax situation that they were in, they only traded 2 players. Unlike they traded 9 players. And one of the players they got back a significant salary in Anthony Simons for. Porzingis was pretty much a straight cash talk. In just trading those 2 players, they saved over $200 million. So that just tells you how fragile their situation was. And so the big question is, are the Celtics done? Or are the Celtics looking to cut more salary? They can, I think, Bob, what, $16, $17 million over the tax?
About 15 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, and so there could be more moves to get under the tax. And as the Celtics have taken their team apart a little bit, these East teams that are around them have been emboldened. And I think we're seeing the Magic feel good about their position, and we see the Hawks are actually a very interesting team. They finished in the play-in this last year. They watched the unfortunate injury to Jason Tatum. They watched the unfortunate injury to Damian Lillard. They watched the unfortunate injury to Tyrese Halliburton. And then they see an opportunity that they can move up. So they go get Kristaps Porzingis. They have how big is the trade exception, Bobby?
25.3.
And I think they intend to use some or all of it. So the Hawks are a team that is reacting to their situation. I think we're going to hear the Hawks more from the Hawks in the coming days.
I think, Brian, and this is a question for Bob too, they did the right moves as far as getting under the second apron. Has much money they saved just based on how punitive and with the Tatum injury and where this roster was going. My only concern is if another move is what's left of the roster when Jason Tatum does come back from this injury in 2026, and you're looking at Jaylen Brown and Derek White, because the goal is to continue putting